Hello, everyone, and welcome to Module 2 Assessment and Identification of Students with Visual Impairment. In this module, we will explore the importance of early assessment, the methods used to diagnose visual impairment, and how assessments help in designing appropriate interventions. By the end of this module, you should be able to define key terms related to visual impairment assessment, including FVA and LMA, explain the importance of early identification and its impact on students' academic and social development, identify common signs of visual impairment in students and determine when an assessment is needed, differentiate between a medical and educational assessment, recognizing their respective roles in supporting students with visual impairments, assess the effectiveness of different assessment tools and techniques in determining a student's learning needs, and develop recommendations for interventions and accommodations based on the student's FBA and LMA results. In the previous discussion, we explored the different classifications and types of visual impairment. Now, we shift our focus to how students with visual impairments are assessed and identified. Visual impairments affect not only academic performance, but also social interactions, mobility, and independence. The sooner we identify a child's visual challenges, the better we can provide effective interventions to help them navigate the world. Assessment is not just about diagnosing a condition. It plays a critical role in understanding a student's unique needs and determining how they can best access education. Let's start by discussing the importance of early identification and why timely assessments are crucial for a child's growth and development. Early assessment of visual impairment is critical in helping students adapt to their environment and develop essential skills. The earlier an impairment is identified, the sooner educators, therapists, and families can implement necessary interventions and accommodations to support the child's needs. So, why is early diagnosis important? This allows for early intervention, improving the child's chances of success. It helps in selecting the right assistive technologies, such as magnifiers, braille displays, and screen readers. It also ensures that students receive individualized instruction suited to their abilities, and it minimizes academic struggles and supports social emotional well being. For example, if a kindergarten student is found to have low vision, teachers can introduce large print books, contrast sensitive worksheets, and verbal instructions to ensure that they are not left behind in the classroom. On the other hand, if a child's visual impairment goes undetected, they may struggle with reading, recognizing facial expressions, or participating in activities, leading to frustration and disengagement. Thus, early screening and assessment are essential in providing a structured and supportive learning environment for students with visual impairment. Assessment plays a key role in determining how to best support a student with visual impairment. The goals of visual impairment assessment includes determining the extent and nature of the impairment, where you understand whether the student has low vision, severe vision loss, or total blindness. Second is to identify functional vision, where you assess how well the student uses the remaining vision in daily activities. Third is evaluating learning media needs, where you determine whether the student benefits most from print, braille, or auditory materials. Fourth is to develop an IEP, creating a personalized plan based on their unique needs. Fifth is to guide teachers in designing inclusive instructional strategies by helping educators implement adaptive methods to enhance learning. So, assessment is not just about diagnosing a condition, it's about finding ways to help students succeed. Visual impairment assessment involves both medical and educational evaluations. Each type of assessment plays a unique role in understanding how a student functions with their vision loss. For medical assessment, this is conducted by an ophthalmologist or an optometrist. This focuses on diagnosing eye conditions and prescribing corrective lenses. It uses clinical tests like the Snellen charts, retinoscopy, and fundus examinations. Meanwhile, educational assessments are conducted by special educators and vision specialists. It focuses on how the impairment affects learning and daily activities. It uses functional vision tests, mobility assessments, and learning media evaluations. A medical assessment determines the cause and extent of vision loss, but does not assess how a child functions in a classroom setting. This is where the educational assessment becomes important, as it helps teachers create learning strategies tailored to the child's needs. Some of the common medical tests used to assess visual impairment include visual acuity test or Snellen chart. This measures the sharpness of vision at different distances. Refraction test determines if the child needs corrective lenses for nearsightedness or farsightedness. Visual field test or perimetry measures the peripheral vision loss, which is really important for mobility. Next is ERG or electroretinography. This assesses retinal function, especially in children with suspected degenerative eye conditions. Next, we have ophthalmoscopy. This examines the retina and optic nerve for abnormalities. Not all children can express their vision difficulties, so it's important for parents and educators to observe signs of visual impairment. Here are some warning signs: frequent squinting or rubbing of eyes, difficulty recognizing people or objects from a distance, holding books or objects too close to the face, complaints of headaches or eye strain after reading, unusual activity to light or avoidance of bright environments. When a child exhibits multiple signs, it is recommended that they undergo a vision assessment as soon as possible. So, what is functional vision assessment? Unlike medical tests, FVA focuses on how a student uses their vision in daily life, rather than diagnosing medical conditions. Its key components are near and distance vision testing, where it examines how well the student sees objects at different distances. Next is tracking and scanning skills, where they evaluate the ability to follow moving objects with their eyes. Next is contrast sensitivity. It determines if they can distinguish objects against backgrounds. Next is light sensitivity assessment. It identifies how different lighting conditions affect their vision. Lastly, light sensitivity assessment. It identifies how different lighting conditions affect their vision. When conducting an FVA, these are conducted in real-world settings such as classrooms, playgrounds, homes, or community spaces. By observing how a child interacts with their environment, educators can determine which accommodations are necessary to support learning. Next, learning media assessment is used to determine the most effective way for a student to access educational materials. For learning media options, we have print materials like large print books or high contrast texts. We have Braille for students with profound vision loss, auditory materials like audiobooks, screen readers, and voice to text applications, and tactile graphics like raised line maps and diagrams. A proper LMA ensures that students use learning tools that match their strengths and abilities. So, when conducting an LMA, special educators and vision specialists evaluate the student's reading and writing preferences, the use of magnification aids, and the student's ability to interpret tactile representations. The assessment and support of students with visual impairments require collaboration between multiple professionals, each bringing their unique expertise to address different aspects of the child's needs. There are two main groups of professionals involved. We have eye care professionals, which focuses on the medical and functional aspects of vision, and special educators. These professionals ensure that students receive educational accommodations and accessibility support. When these experts work together, they form a strong support system that enables students with visual impairments to thrive in school, at home, and in the community. So let's first take a look at the eye care professionals and their roles. Eye care professionals focus on diagnosing, treating, and managing vision impairments. While they do not work directly in the classroom, their expertise is critical in identifying the level of vision loss and recommending appropriate interventions. Ophthalmologists are crucial for students with progressive conditions, as they help monitor vision changes and adjust treatment plans over time. Next, we have optometrists. These are vision specialists for corrective lenses and therapy. An optometrist is a healthcare professional trained to perform comprehensive eye exams to determine visual acuity and eye health. They prescribe glasses and contact lenses to correct refractive errors such as nearsightedness or farsightedness. They also offer vision therapy for students who struggle with tracking, focusing, or visual coordination. While they do not perform surgery, optometrists play a key role in helping students optimize their remaining vision through corrective measures. Next, we have low vision therapists, which are specialists in maximizing functional vision. They specifically work with individuals who have significant vision loss that cannot be corrected with standard glasses. They specialize in training students to use assistive devices such as electronic magnifiers, screen readers, or text to speech programs. They also specialize in teaching adaptive techniques for reading, writing, and independent living. They also help students develop skills for mobility and daily tasks using tactile and auditory cues. Together, ophthalmologists, optometrists, and low vision therapists form the medical foundation of vision assessment and intervention. However, eye care professionals alone cannot provide the full range of support needed in education, so this is where special educators play a crucial role. So while eye care professionals focus on diagnosing and treating vision problems, special educators ensure that students with visual impairments receive the necessary accommodations to succeed academically. Their responsibilities include conducting FVA and LMA, so they assess how students use their vision in real-world settings, including classrooms, hallways, and outdoor areas. They also determine whether a student benefits most from print, braille, or auditory learning materials. Next is by modifying classroom materials for accessibility. Special educators ensure that learning materials are adjusted to meet the needs of visually impaired students. They may provide large print books, high contrast worksheets, audiobooks, and braille materials. They also work with classroom teachers to adapt instructional strategies, such as verbal descriptions of visual content or tactile learning aids. Lastly, is developing IEPs. It is a legally mandated customized learning plan designed to support students with disabilities. So they work with parents, teachers, and therapists to set learning goals, specify accommodations such as braille instruction, extended time on tests or assistive technology, and monitor student progress and adjust the plan as needed. For example, a student with progressive vision loss might need an IEP that gradually transitions from the large print materials to braille and auditory learning methods over time. By working together, these professionals empower students to learn, navigate the environment, and gain independence. There are several widely used tools that help professionals assess the level of vision impairment, functional abilities, and literacy skills of a student. First, we have the Leia Symbols chart, which measures the visual acuity for young children, and it is one of the most commonly used tests. It is similar to the traditional Snellen eye chart, but instead of using letters, it uses simple symbols like apples, circles, squares, and houses. This is particularly useful for young children or students with cognitive disabilities who may not be able to identify letters. Why is it important? This test helps determine how well a child can see objects at a distance. It provides early indications of whether a child might need further vision assessments or corrective measures. Teachers can also use the results to decide whether the child needs preferential seating in the classroom or enlarged text materials. Next, we have Low Vision Simulator. This is helping educators understand the student's experience. So it is a tool that replicates the visual experience of a person with a visual impairment. It consists of specialized goggles or digital applications that simulate different types of vision loss, such as blurry vision, tunnel vision, or central vision loss. It is important because educators and family members can use this tool to understand what a student with low vision experiences. It also helps teachers and support staff adapt their teaching methods to create a more accessible learning environment. It also enhances empathy and awareness, encouraging schools to implement better accommodations for visually impaired students. Next, we have Braille reading tests. This assesses Braille literacy skills. For students who are legally blind or have severe vision loss, literacy skills are often developed using Braille. The Braille reading test evaluates a student's ability to read and comprehend Braille text. It is important because not all students with visual impairments rely entirely on Braille. Some may use a combination of large print text and Braille. This test helps determine whether Braille is the best primary reading method for the student. If a student struggles with Braille, they may benefit from auditory learning tools or tactile learning strategies instead. Now that we've discussed traditional assessment tools, let's move on to assistive technologies, which play a crucial role in modern visual impairment assessment. As technology continues to advance, assistive tools have transformed the way visually impaired students access and interact with information. These technologies also assist educators in determining the most effective learning methods for students with visual impairments. Here are some of the most widely used assistive technologies in visual impairment assessment. First, we have screen readers, which converts text into speech. It's a software program that reads digital text aloud, allowing visual impaired students to access written information through audio output. Popular screen readers include JAWS and NVDA. It is important in assessment because screen readers help assess whether a student can effectively process information through auditory means. If a student benefits from a screen reader, teachers may integrate more digital and auditory based learning materials into their lessons. It helps determine whether printed materials need to be supplemented with audio content for optimal comprehension. For example, if a student struggles with reading printed text but excels when using a screen reader, then this indicates that auditory learning is an effective alternative. Next, we have electronic magnifiers, which enhances text and images, such as Zoom Text. This is a software application or handheld device that enlarges digital and printed text for students with low vision. This tool increases contrast, adjusts brightness, and enhances image clarity to make reading easier. This is important in assessment as teachers and specialists can use an electronic magnifier to evaluate how much magnification a student needs. This tool helps determine whether a student requires large print materials, high contrast colors, or text to speech software. If a student finds magnification effective, teachers may introduce tablets, ebooks, and digital reading aids in the classroom. For example, a student with moderate vision loss might use Zoom text to read assignments instead of switching to Braille or auditory formats. Next, we have tactile displays. So it is an electronic device that converts digital text into Braille dots that rise and fall on a surface, allowing students to read text by touch. This is important because specialists use tactile displays to assess whether a student prefers digital Braille over printed Braille. These devices are essential for students who need immediate access to digital textbooks, emails, or online contacts in Braille format. If a student responds well to a refreshable Braille display, teachers may integrate more digital Braille materials into the curriculum. Why is collaboration important? Assessing students with visual impairments require a team-based approach. Since vision impairment affects learning, mobility, social interaction, and daily functioning, multiple professionals must work together to ensure a comprehensive and accurate assessment. Collaboration ensures that the child receives personalized interventions tailored to their specific needs. If assessment is conducted by only one professional, such as a doctor or a teacher, key aspects of the child's challenges may be overlooked. So let's go over the different professionals involved in this interdisciplinary collaboration and their roles in assessment. Key members of the assessment team are the following. First are teachers. Teachers provide valuable insights into how the students function in a classroom setting. They observe the students' ability to read materials, follow instructions, interact with peers, and adapt to classroom environments. They also assist in FVA by observing how the student interacts with visual materials. They also implement classroom accommodations and help track progress over time and adjust teaching methods. Next member are the parents. They spend the most time with their children and can provide important background information about the child's daily struggles and strengths. They can describe visual behaviors at home, provide a medical history that includes early signs of visual impairment, support their child by ensuring consistent use of assistive devices and therapies at home, and support their child by ensuring consistent use of assistive devices and therapies at home. Next member are therapists. Depending on the student's needs, different therapists play a role in assessment and intervention. OTs, or occupational therapists, help students develop fine motor skills, eye hand coordination, and daily living skills, like eating, dressing, and using technology. SLPs, or speech therapists, work together with students who have language processing challenges due to visual impairment, especially in interpreting facial expressions or reading Braille. Lastly, are orientation and mobility specialists. They teach students how to navigate their environment safely using canes, guide dogs, or electronic navigation aids. Another key member are medical professionals. The medical team plays an essential role in diagnosing and managing the child's visual impairment. Ophthalmologists diagnose eye conditions, prescribe treatments, and recommend vision rehabilitation. Optometrists assess the need for corrective lenses or low vision aids. Low vision specialists help students maximize their remaining vision through specialized training and devices. So, by working together with these professionals, they create a comprehensive supportive system for the student, ensuring that their educational, medical, and functional needs are addressed. By working together, these professionals create a comprehensive support system for the student, ensuring that their educational, medical, and functional needs are addressed. Assessing students with visual impairments is not always straightforward. Several challenges exist, including variability in eye conditions. Not all visual impairments are the same. Some students have stable conditions, while others have progressive conditions, meaning their vision declines over time. This makes assessment complex because a child's vision may change, requiring frequent re-evaluations. Some students have functional vision in certain environments but struggles in others, like bright or dim lighting. Next challenge is difficulty in assessing students with multiple disabilities. Some students with visual impairments also have additional disabilities, such as autism, intellectual disabilities, or hearing impairments. These coexisting conditions affect communication, mobility, and learning. Challenges include a student with autism and blindness may have difficulty following verbal instructions, while a student with CP or low vision may require adaptive technology to communicate. Standard visual tests may not be effective for students who have cognitive delays or communication difficulties. Because of this, assessments may be adapted to each student's unique needs, using alternative evaluation methods like sensory-based learning assessments. Another challenge is limited availability of specialized assessment tools. Unlike hearing impairments, which can be measured using standardized audiometry tests, Assessing functional vision and learning media needs requires specialized visual testing materials and trained professionals. However, in many schools and developing regions, these resources are limited. Braille assessment materials are not always available, low vision simulators are uncommon, or many schools lack vision specialists, leaving general education teachers without guidance. Addressing these challenges require teacher training, increased access to technology, and collaboration between schools and medical centers. Let's take a real world example of a student undergoing assessment to better understand how FVA and LMA work in practice. Let us meet Mark. Mark is a 7-year-old boy who has been diagnosed with optic nerve hypoplasia. This means that his optic nerves did not develop properly, leading to moderate vision loss. His teacher noticed that he was struggling to recognize letters on the board and often leaned very close to his books when reading. His parents also reported that he had difficulty identifying familiar faces from a distance. Since these behaviors suggested a potential visual impairment, his school conducted an assessment process. For the assessment results, FVA revealed that Mark had reduced contrast sensitivity, meaning he struggled to see letters on low contrast backgrounds. He performed well in bright lighting conditions, but struggled in dim environments, and he had difficulty tracking fast moving objects, making it challenging for him to read text efficiently. The LMA indicated that Mark benefited most from high contrasts, large print text. He found tactile learning tools helpful, such as raised line worksheets. Although he could not read standard print, he experienced eye strain after long periods, suggesting that auditory materials might also be useful. Based on these results, Mark's teachers implemented several key interventions to support his learning. For classroom accommodations, teachers provided Mark with high contrast materials printed on bold, dark letters against light backgrounds. They also increased font sizes and positioned Mark closer to the board. Next, for assistive technology, Mark was introduced to audiobooks and magnification software to reduce his eye strain. For mobility support, orientation and mobility specialists trained Mark to navigate hallways safely using landmarks and contrast cues. And lastly, Mark's teachers and parents were educated on how to create visually supportive environment, ensuring consistency between home and school. Assessing visual impairment is not just about identifying the condition, it's about ensuring that students receive the necessary resources to succeed. By using team-based collaboration, appropriate assessment tools, and evidence-based interventions, we can empower students with visual impairments to fully engage with their education and everyday life. Thank you for listening to this discussion, and I look forward to our next module.